everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The ShOUT Show. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS The ShOUT Show. I hope you're having an incredible Friday. Some of you are already in the Saturday morning. God bless you. We thank you for coming and joining us for yet another show. So, housekeeping. Anybody that's coming on the show for the first time, I say the first time, a couple things I want to let you know. First, we appreciate you dropping by. That's number one. Number two is, if you don't mind, click that link and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. And another thing, number three, you are officially part of the SOS family, the SOS soldiers, the eclectic group of people that come on the show and contribute. And if you feel like you have something you want to say, in that comment box, put it in the comment box, and I'm going to give you a shout out. All right. For my shout out show family, you know I love you guys. So Friday, I had to do something a little bit different today. Friday, I was going to do the Friday Funnies, but I wanted to have a little theme to it. And the theme to it was what happened to strong men. Remember strong men, your fathers and stuff like that? Strong men, somehow, strong men went away. And so today is going to be a little bit of a flashback, if you will, if you don't mind. So let me give my shout out to all my SOS family, SOS soldiers that have come to join us today. I appreciate you. And I also say, please come back. You know, the show is not you. The show is not the show of what it is without you. So I appreciate your support. So let me give some shout outs. We got our regulars. We got Sister Ree. We got Sister Rabina, who stayed up late over in the UK. Sister Rabina, you are a soldier. Because, I'm going to tell you something. After Isha, you can call it off. It's a wrap for me. If I had to do shout out show after Isha, you might have one show as opposed to 148 shows. Okay? Sister Sultana, our coordinator, our consultant producer, makes this work. We got Altaf Rashid all the way. Walaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, all the way from Toronto. We got stars in the building. It's old go-go stuff. We got some stars in the building today. We got some stars in the comment box. Brother, thank you for coming out. Today's topic, brothers and sisters, I hope you don't mind. I took the liberty. What happened to the angry black man? Now, let me frame this for you. When I say angry black man, I didn't say destructive. I didn't say violent. I didn't say mean-spirited. I didn't say godless. I said angry. Now, let me frame what angry means. Angry in this connotation means that to be angry, something had to precede the anger. And sometimes the anger wasn't just anger, it was coupled with outrage. These are the people who reminded us that in society something was wrong. And as I look around with all the protests, all the things, I see anger at a specific situation, an episode, but I don't see the universal intelligence that frames anger as an awareness that, hey, brothers and sisters, look around, the world is not what it should be. Now, this is really important. Years ago, I shot a film. I shot a short film. Check this out. I shot a short film. It was called The Last Angry Black Man. And it had to do with leadership. The whole premise of this was a generation of young black people, have been relying on older leaders to carry the water for them. And in this particular fictional town outside of Hollywood, the one brother who stood up for everybody and he mysteriously dies. And these young brothers are left to decide who is going to be, the next angry black man for them. And they go through a whole cadre of things, and then misguided thoughts. They say, listen, we're 20 minutes for Hollywood. We need a black leader. Why don't we audition for a black leader? Now, yeah, I understand this is going way off the track, and it's meant to do that because it was meant to frame how crazy people think about black leadership. You see, there is a missing, if you will, there is a missing space in terms of the angry black man because youth have gotten hold of it. Social media has gotten a hold of it. And then the media has gotten a hold of it. In our own communities, Muslim, non-Muslim, in terms of African Americans, but African Americans and I want to say in unison with, if you will, my immigrant brothers and sisters, Pakistani, Indian, Arab, that whole thing in America. In America, the idea and the concept of an angry black man meant something. It meant something. Let me digress. Anger in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, anger was, for lack of a better word, emotional intelligence. You see, one of the things that leads to disenfranchisement is that it's a misplacement of anger. You are not able to express what you feel, when you feel it, how you want to feel it. So it's interesting because now here in 2020, I grew up with a generation of men, real and imagined, who were angry black men. When I say angry black men, they weren't clowns, they weren't ruffians, they were bullies. The people that they were angry with was a society that they felt held back themselves and the community around them. Held back their brothers, their sisters, held back economic advancement, held back education. It led to criminal justice issues, led to police brutality. These were organically angry black men, but I say angry because it was tied to a particular type of, one, intelligence, and two, activism. I will say this, and I hope I say it right, but we have become too in tune to being reactionary. Reactionary is the opposite of revolutionary. We don't have revolutionary ideas. We have reactive ideas. We're going to wait for the next crisis. We're going to wait for the next shooting. We're going to wait for the next choking. We're going to wait for the next whatever it is. And we have become a society that sits back and watches it. We're a society that sits back and watches it. We watch it on TV. We watch it on social media. I've been going through Instagram for the last 2 weeks, and I can't tell you how many times you can go all up and down Instagram, and there's always 5 to 6 videos of black people been done wrong, of a woman done wrong. And what that infers, brothers and sisters, in many regards, is that we're helpless. That we watch it on television is like watching it in real life. That is the scope of reality TV. That you don't have to be there in reality when it happens, but we can zoom it or we can broadcast it through your television, and you'll feel like you're right there. Your emotions are tied to the wrong things, brothers and sisters. And thus, I would say that we need to reframe the need of the angry black man. Because the angry black man is not a color, brothers and sisters. In America, it is a preemptive understanding of what's going on around here. So I'm saying if you're Latino, look to who's been historically angry black men. Muslims, my immigrant brothers and sisters, look to who's been historically black men. Recently, and I've talked about this, recently, let me throw this up for Sister Rabina. Sister Rabina has some bangers up here. Recently, it has been this scenario, and I'm saying the last 3-4 years, that the black man cannot be angry. Let me say it again. That the black man cannot be angry. Because anger in America, if it's not suiting the purposes of the masters, anger means that you don't have emotional control. All you are is reactive. There's a process of getting angry, brothers and sisters. There's a process. There is identity, there is reason, there's rationale, there is patience, and then comes anger. I gave you all those things. Reason, rationale, patience, and anger. And in that thing, you discover who you are in a particular situation. But more importantly, you are able to coalesce around the patience parts is you look around to see what else is wrong. One of the things that's bothered me about this whole protest and da-da-da, and I told you folks, I said, what you going to do when the protest is over? What are you going to do when the protest is over? Let me give y'all a little advice. You know, the bus boycott in Alabama went an entire year. It went over a year. It went over a year because the people there understood that the idea that at some point in time, if they gave way or even gave the opinion that somehow, somewhere, they could be, pacified, it's problematic. People who oppress look for people who are oppressed to take breaks. And in that taking break, that is seen as you have a lack of commitment, or one to two, you have a lack of will. The idea of the angry black man is something I've been living with my whole life. It starts when you're young. Every black man will tell you that being an angry black man or being portrayed as an angry black man starts when you're young, and as you grow and you integrate with society, you start asking questions. People will tell you that you're angry because they're afraid to tell you that you're smart. They're afraid to tell you that you have intellectual capacity. Thereby, it becomes a situation scenario where society, certain parts of society, oppressive society in particular, waits to run out the clock on you. They wait to run out the clock on you. They wait till you get 15, 16, 17, 18, and then they release, if you will, all the demonic things around you, all of the problems, all of the worst stuff, and leave it to a young mind to figure it out. And the young mind has to deal with this fact. There's no blueprint. The laws aren't meant for you to be successful. Business is not set up that way. Education is not set up that way. And beyond those obstacles, you still need to figure it out and have communication and value to the rest of your community. That's a lot. That's a lot. We ask our young people to do that, brothers and sisters, but a lot of times we don't provide the knowledge that they need to do that. Sadly, a lot of our last angry black man population is coming out of prisons. It's coming out of prisons where you go through the brutality of incarceration. You come out with enlightenment, but that enlightenment comes at a cost. Now, the flip side of it, becoming intellectual for a black man in some regards comes with a cost. Let me say that again. Becoming an intellectual for a black man comes at a cost. That you have to fit in these spaces whereby your anger has to be articulated through academic filters. It can be meant for debate, but can't be meant for execution. There was a generation before us, they were called the Black Panthers, that balanced that education, that intellect, and that anger and awareness. And we have not seen that in a long, long time. There were a lot of jokes when Obama became president. Remember the jokes? And what were the jokes about Obama? How long was it going to be before he lost it and showed what? That he was an angry black man. Didn't really happen. Didn't really happen. And strategically, it couldn't happen. He had to be the president for everybody. I understand that. But even in that space, he was set up to have to deal with things that happen, like a Trayvon Martin and things like that. And he couldn't respond from the rightful indignation of being a black father. He had to be the father for everybody. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because there's some things I want us to touch on. One of our last great angry black men. It's a few left. I'm going to put Minister Farrakhan in that category. I'm going to put Cornel West in that category. But I'm going to put Muhammad Ali in a different category. Because Muhammad Ali's anger was articulated over a generation, several generations, to the point that he goes from being a person who is absolutely reviled and his intelligence is questioned. If you go back and look at these interviews, his intelligence is questioned because he has an anger for what's going on around him. And I would say Muhammad Ali was the catalyst for even some of our TV angry black men. You know, Malcolm X was an angry black man, but he was an articulate, very visual, very cerebral black man. And that, brothers and sisters, is a category that you can't overlook, because that type of individual makes everybody else angry. So indeed, brothers and sisters, I'm even saying this, I think it's projection. People like a Malcolm X, people like a Farrakhan, people like a Muhammad Ali, and so on. Because they carry themselves in a certain intellectual capacity, they're not angry black men. They invoke anger from other people who can't say they're angry, so they simply put the title back on them. You know, that's what it is. You know, Muslims, I just want everybody to know, this is not new, but I think it's worth revisiting. I give you guys a prime example of what we're talking about. There's an old joke. It's not really a joke, but there's an old thing that they used to say back in the day. And it's amplified now. It's amplified. It's a double-edged question. It's a question you can't answer correctly, or you can't answer to the satisfaction of people. The old joke was, and they put Muslim names on it now, but the old question in a group of people that didn't know you, someone yell out and they go, "Hey, Mustafa, you still beating your wife?" That was it. "Hey, Mustafa, you still beating your wife?" Now, what's the problem with this? If he says no, people go, "Well, he was beating her, now he stopped." And he definitely can't say yes, right? Because people aren't going to look for subtext. If he says, "No, I've never done that before," people don't stick around for the "no, I've never done that before." You know, "You still beat your wife?" "No." "That's good. You stop beating your wife." And that tricky language, that tricky bit of vernacular is the thing that tricks us up today. You know, one of my favorite angry black men was on television, if you will, were, of course, Fred Sanford, George Jefferson, of course. They were my main people. Angry black men. And this is why I love them. And let me say that. Here you go, Mom. Thanks for coming on the show, Mom. Assalamu alaikum. This is why I like them. Because with Fred Sanford on Sanford and Son, you weren't watching the character of Fred Sanford. For those that know, Red Fox's name was not Fred Sanford. It was John Sanford. His brother's name was Fred Sanford. To honor his brother, he took the name of Fred Sanford for the show. Now, this is interesting because Red Fox, traditionally, a lot of you guys don't know, he was angry. He was an angry black man, but he was angry at the system, the way the system treated him. He lived his whole life. He becomes a star late in life, but his trials and travails of becoming a star and succeeding and sustaining in Hollywood are nothing less of legend, but it's nothing but pure struggle. And in his greatest stance, better than any joke he told, better than any show he did on Sanford and Son, he asked the question, "Why am I not being paid equal to the white actors? I have the top show That's the other show. They're not the top show. I'm not. And he walked off. And people said he was angry. People on the show said Fred Fox is crazy, he's angry. And I'm like, you know what? He's intelligent. And when am I saying this? I'm saying this at a very, very, very young age. He's intelligent. Yep. There you go. John Amos. Oh yeah, John Amos. I'm gonna give John Amos. That's James Evans on Good Times. He was an angry black man. But why was he angry? He was angry because he lived. To me, he was angry because he lived with the fact that if he wasn't there, society and that housing project in Chicago would eat his family up. And again, that wasn't anger. That was protection. That was intelligence. To raise your children to be wary, but at the same time to respect the adults. I don't know why people even have a problem with this. I don't know why people have a problem with this. You know, when I watch some of the speeches by Malcolm X, people said he was angry. People said he was hateful. And I always wonder why. I legitimately, as an adult now, ask, why were they angry at Malcolm X? Well, sometimes anger, and when you seek to resolve your anger, because one thing about being a minority in America, when the powers that be make you angry, they count on you not exploring why you're angry. They count on you not having self-discovery. They count on you not being reflective enough on your own situation to say, let me make sure I'm okay, and then I look at the world. Dick Gregory, yeah, he was angry after he quit comedy. Yeah, I'll give that to you. But let me explain something too. I'm telling everybody here, and tell your friends, it's okay to be angry. But if you're going to be angry, frame it around something. Frame it around action, not violent action. Frame it around conversation. Frame it around investigation. Frame it around, how do I take this emotion, turn it inward, as Sister Rabina said, turn it inward and produce something beautiful. How do you do that? My mom is on in the comments section. She'll tell you that when 9/11 hit, we were all in the stoop. I told you guys my 9/11 story. And I waited. I was so angry the way that things turned out for Muslims after 9/11. I was upset. But I took 2 years to understand why I was angry. And I realized I wasn't angry because of 9/11. I was angry before 9/11. I was angry that our communities, African American community and the immigrant community, weren't together as a team. And it foresaw that if something were to happen, we would be exposed not as being terrorists, we'd be exposed as not being united. And in that, we were exposed. People say I'm an angry guy sometimes. Brother, I've gotten some notes from people. You need to tell jokes. I'm like, well, you need to go start your own show. I'm not an angry person. I'm concerned. I be honest to tell you, if things don't get me upset, but I have a filter. That filter is reason. And that filter is not just reason, but it's reasonable. It means that I can give pause for things now. There's a little elasticity in my thinking and how I see things. And I owe that to a lot of people. I owe it to my religion, I owe it to my family, I owe it to my friends, I owe it to people like you that come on the show. But here's the thing that I want us to remember, because I won't hold you long, because I know it's a Friday. Ask a question. When you're alone by yourself, ask a question. What is it that really makes me angry? What is it I'm seeing in the world today that's extremely problematic? Like for myself, the things that make me angry is the fact that there's just so much redundancy. We continue to see the same things over and over and over and over and over again. We have an election coming up. Here's the baseline of the election. Doesn't matter whether you don't vote Democrat Republican, or you don't vote at all. In the end, we still gonna get an old white man. An old white man. An old white man who was privileged back in the 50s and the 60s and part of the 40s. Who until now, brothers and sisters, has not lifted up the Excalibur of justice and swung it for women, blacks, Latinos, gays, lesbians, Native Americans, hasn't swung that thing until now. So I'm telling everybody, it's okay. Get a little angry. It's all right. But with that anger, please frame it around intelligent thinking. Frame it around conversation. Frame it around investigation. Frame it around meaningful action. Sometimes people, we feel like we don't realize just how much of a resource we can be towards ourselves if we just reframe, restructure some things. So I'm gonna get out of here, man. You know why? Because I'm having a good day. And you know, I can be honest, I'm having a good day, but I looked at the news and some things that made me angry. And what I did was I took my own advice. I read about those things. I read about what's going on with the post office. I read about what's going on with Russians trying to malign elections. And I read about how people are trying to secure the vote. And I realized there are a lot of other people out there that are angry like me. However, the angry is framed in intelligence. And I believe that is a thing that's going to take us to the next level. It's going to free us of some of this craziness. And in the end, it's going to give us a future. You guys have been great. I'm Preacher Moss, ShOUT Show. God bless you. Have an amazing weekend.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your ShOUT Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next ShOUT Show. Simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifatar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.